everyone. This video is long overdue. However, I actually recorded it and then realized that it is portrait view instead of landscape. So I'm just gonna go ahead and redo it. It took me a long time to get to this place to be able to talk about this whole situation. So please bear with me. It might be a little choppy and all over the place, but I am just speaking from my mind. So again, just bear with me. Before I get started, I want to say that this video is not to expose anybody. The intentions of this video is merely to talk about my side of the story and start my healing process. So again, this is not to expose anybody or hurt anybody that is also involved in this story. I do want to start off by saying that if you or anyone you know is experiencing any problems that may deal with domestic violence or anything that has to do with mental health or anything like that, please reach out, get the support that you need from whomever is closest to you, or if you need to reach out to somebody professionally, that is also an option as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. The person that I had on my channel with me will no longer be on my channel. We are no longer together. We are legally still married, however, we are separated at this time. We talked a little bit about, we have a video together where we kind of talked about his post-release and, how we both were affected by, his term and then him coming home and, different feelings and things like that. And I really wish that I was more transparent. If you can, you should go watch that video because I start to kind of talk about certain things and it's like he cuts me off and he's basically giving a reason why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling is because of his actions, and he kind of talks about it a little bit, but I wish that I was more transparent and I talked a lot more about what I was going through at that point. But that's neither here nor there. So if you are new or you haven't followed me, he basically was incarcerated for 5 years. I did the time with him. I supported him during his time, and then by which when he came out, I had everything prepared for him, and I have a video about that as well. So if you want to check that out, you can. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the whole experience. So being with somebody incarcerated was enough stress as it is. Putting the money on your phone, buying packages, visiting, having to deal with changing your clothes or being able, just the whole thing as a whole was very stressful. And I dedicated my life to being there, sorry guys, my dog, being there for him, because, excuse you, because he didn't have anybody else. During that 5 years, no one helped me with anything with him, and no one helped him. So it literally was just us at that time. So it was, a lot went into that. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Before he was incarcerated, our relationship was not, sunshine and roses. It was very toxic and abusive. And I kind of want to briefly talk about that. I'm not going to talk about each situation. I'm not going to get on here and post the pictures or post anything like that. I'm already past a lot of those things, and I really just want to briefly talk about it. I'm not going to get into detail. So it wasn't, what it was supposed to be, but I feel like a lot of manipulation, a lot of dialogue was there to where it kind of made me feel like a lot of actions and things that happened during that time was blamed on either drug use or not being in a good place. And because of that, when he did get incarcerated, it was kind of like a restart, like okay, you know, you're gonna do this. I'm gonna, you know, take the sacrifices that I need to by getting another job or whatever I needed to do at that time, so that he, once post release, he would have that that restart, or that you know, there wouldn't be any excuse, because at that point, you know, everything had been taken care of, so we thought. So of course, you know, I regret a lot of things, and I am not fully putting blame on him, because I was old enough to where if I wasn't happy in a situation, I should not have stayed in that situation. There's really nothing else to say about that. I do feel like, please excuse me, my dog is going to be probably coughing a lot in the background. So, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it was, it might have been both things. Me being the genuine person that I am, and just wanting to help people. And then the fact that, you know, like hearing about a sad story, or the dialogue that was there, that made me kind of feel like I could be that positive in his life that he's never had, so that he can be given the chance, you know? So I feel like there was a lot of factors that went into why I felt like I could help him. I felt like I could, you know, show him something different, because we are from two different, you know, worlds. So I felt like I could show him ultimately, you know, another side of life. And that was my intention. My intention ultimately was to help him. I'm not gonna sit here and say that the 5 years was a cakewalk either. Of course, there was lies, deceit, and things that happened during that time as well, but I feel like there was always an excuse. Whether it was me excusing his behavior or him having an excuse, there was always an excuse. Him losing his brother was the biggest thing that I feel like hurt him the most. Not only was his brother killed while he was incarcerated, but he wasn't able to be there, you know, during a lot of stuff. And I do feel like that was a big part of the reason why, you know, he just gave up, I feel like. I just think that I'm just the type of person that I don't like complaining about things. I don't like, you know, if I know that I don't even know how to put it in words, but being a friend or in a relationship with you, or whatever the case may be, if I know that you need something and I have it, I'm going to do it. It's no questions asked. Like, if you send something to me, I'm going to get it done, because that's just who I am as a person. Especially financially, because that is where I know that I could just get it done really quickly, and if I can't, then I'll figure it out. But it's just like I have that mindset of like, I'm just gonna get it done. So when his brother passed away, it was like, it wasn't even a question in my mind. I had to figure everything out. I knew he wasn't gonna be able to be there, so I got on a bus and I went to Vegas, because I had to be there. I had to figure it out. I had to take care of whatever I had to take care of, and I had to help wherever I needed to help at. I feel like if you do know me, you kind of know like where I'm coming from with that story, is because prior to him going to prison, I didn't even so much as drive on the freeway. I never even been to a lot of different cities. I was very to myself. I didn't go anywhere, didn't really do a lot of things. So when I jumped up and made that decision to go, it was like, I was afraid. I've never been anywhere. I never even got on a bus like that. It was just like a huge sacrifice for me, but I was willing to do those type of sacrifices because I felt like I was helping him in the end. Of course, you know, after that situation, there was other underlying things that kind of like started to build up, because it's kind of like I'm making these sacrifices, I'm doing this and this, and it's like it's not being appreciated. It's not being it's kind of like it's expected almost, because you really don't care, because if you did, you would treat me accordingly, which you're not. So it was a lot of disrespect happening, and it was just building up at that point. Again, there's different situations that did happen prior to him going to prison and while he was in prison. But again, I'm not going to talk about certain situations in detail. I just know that it happened, and I'm kind of just going along. I think the biggest part for me was, just the lies and the talking to other women all the time, me asking about it starting an argument, and it was just kind of like a domino effect that kept happening over and over and over again. I don't know when I got to the point where I felt like my happiness was the proper exchange for helping him. I don't know why I got there. I just, and again, all this stuff that I'm talking about is not all his issues. I'm gonna be talking about stuff that I did wrong and places where I went that I shouldn't have, because that was one of my biggest issues, was thinking that my happiness was in exchange for helping him. So I was okay with me not being happy if that meant that I was doing what I needed to do for him, so that ultimately we could be good in the end. That was a horrible decision to make, because by doing so, especially doing so for someone who is an opportunist, I guess you could say, is just like, it's once they get a taste of you giving, it's almost like they feel like they're entitled. Like it's like they get kind of upset when you don't give that same attitude or behavior, I guess. So by doing that, I felt like I became so engrossed in helping him or figuring things out, or trying to benefit for both of us. I missed out on a lot of things. I missed out on a lot of people. I missed out on a lot of going places or doing things. That whole 5 years that he did time, I felt like I did time as well, because I didn't do anything other than what benefited him and his situation. So a lot of that time, it was more me working 16-hour days, still trying to go to school so that I can maintain what I was trying to do on my separate side of everything, as well as maintain, living, rent, all that stuff, eating, all the daily things that you need to do as a human being. But then also, being with somebody incarcerated, all that stuff adds up. So it's kind of like going towards that and helping that and doing that. And again, like I said, I had no help when it came to that. So it was mainly just me doing it by myself. So knowing the sacrifices that I took, well, just me knowing the sacrifices that I made, how tired I was. I mean, and you can go back to the videos and see like the dark circles under my eyes, how I'm always like, oh, I just got off work, I'm kind of tired, but I'm trying to put this video out, or just, whatever the case may be. I was tired. I took a lot of time off from things that I enjoy doing, such as like photography and just doing stuff that I like to do. I didn't do because I was just so tired. And that I like, again, I was willing to make those sacrifices because I felt like it was a adequate exchange for helping him or being there for him. It wasn't until his post release, when he got out, I immediately seen how he was moving, and I knew that it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I literally felt as though I wasted all my time because it was like a complete slap in the face. It makes me so sad to even talk about out loud. So please bear with me, because like I said, to be able to talk about something like this, you have to be completely vulnerable, and it was just a very hard experience, especially him getting out, because and I think I talked about this in a video too, where I kind of was just like, I had in my mind that, like he was going to get out and then everything was going to just fall into place. Like I even made things so much easier, I felt like, so that it would be an easier transition for him. But I feel like in my point, where I messed up at is by doing everything for him and making things so much easier, I enabled him. I enabled the whole situation. And I felt like he wasn't able to be the man he was supposed to be because I was too busy taking care of everything. Like I did literally everything. So I feel like there was a lot that went into that, because when you keep doing for a person, they don't respect you. It's kind of like they just want that, and so that in itself was a big part of it. I do feel like, there's always it was our whole relationship, there was always somebody else. There was always, he was talking to somebody else, or he was doing this for somebody else, and the excuse was always, oh, I'm just talking to her for money, or it's not like that, or da 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 da, or she's this or she's that, and I'm not gonna lie, I got to a place where I kind of just was like out of sight, out of mind, because I just didn't want to deal with the arguing or the fighting or, none of that. I think one thing that really hurt me after he got released was, those of you that don't know, I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian cyst. I was diagnosed with that when I was 20. Well, I had issues since I was 20, but I was just diagnosed probably like a year or two ago. But he has been with me through that whole journey, which is a big part of my life, because if you know me, you know that I really want to be a mom. I really want to have a family with somebody, and being that we were together for so long, ideally, that's what I was hoping for. During the time we've been together, I had 2 miscarriages, but other than that, I would never get pregnant. Of course, a lot of stress has to do with, getting pregnant, drug use, all that stuff, also plays a part. But I think, not that I think, but I feel that a big part of me staying was also because he knew everything, doctor's appointments, things like that, different research that we did together. There was so much that went into my diagnosis, and I felt like he already knew and accepted what was going on. And I felt like nobody else would have wanted to be with me because of those complications. So it was kind of like, oh, I'll just stay with him because, it's not good, but at least he accepts that, and that's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to think of, and it's horrible even to say out loud my thinking process, because I don't know why I got to a place where I just felt like I was not good enough and nobody else would have accepted anything from me. Like I felt like nobody would have wanted me or You know, I don't know why I got to that place or why I even allowed somebody to bring me to that place. And I feel like, again, this is all a part of my healing process of getting out of that place and, you know, being the strong and beautiful person that I know I can be. I think one thing out of that relationship that I want to really focus on and change is him teaching me how to hate myself. I focused a lot on negative things and nothing positive. It was like the positives was not good enough, so I needed to try harder. I needed to do something else. I needed to figure something else out, because I felt like the negatives was outshadowing the positives, which is never a good thing to think especially when thinking about yourself. So I definitely do want to change that going forward. So again, those were all qualifying factors as to why I felt like I stayed. You know, there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of insecure and like self-conscious things on my part, because I just felt like, you know, me having the PCOS, not being able to conceive, you know, who would want to be in a relationship with somebody that may have those difficulties? So a lot of that went into play as to why I felt like I had to stay. Also, not to mention fear of, you know, not knowing what he was going to do, different threatening things, situations that took place, also stayed in my mind when I made those decisions to stay. The biggest, and I would say the final breakdown for me was February. My friend was here. I was actually sitting exactly in the same spot, and my phone rang, and the person on the phone was like, "Hey, are you still with so and so?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, it's been kind of rough, but yeah, we're still going." And they're like, "Oh, I was just wondering because there's this girl, and she's online, and she's posting their relationship. They've been talking for almost 6 months now, and sorry, and you know, it was kind of like my heart fell to my stomach, but it wasn't like a heartbreak or a shock or anything like that. It was more of like, how dare you?" And I'm gonna go back because I jumped over a couple months, but basically, after getting out and treating me the way he did, he wound up going back to prison, or to jail, and then prison. But by doing so, when it happened, my first initial response was like, "Oh, you know, this is my out. You know, like, you got out. You didn't appreciate me. You didn't accept the caliber of woman that I was, because if you did, you would have appreciated the things that I did a little bit more, and you didn't." So when he finally, or not finally, but when he went back to jail, it was kind of like in my mind was like, this is my out. You know, like, you did this, you put yourself here, like this was your own doing, because I tried to help you. I gave you different you know, I gave you a foundation, I gave you all that I could really, and you still didn't do what you needed to do. So again, a lot of dialogue was brought to my attention, a lot of things were said to where I felt I was just in a manipulated place. I felt like, you know, a lot of things were said like, I can't do this time again. I'm gonna die in here. You know, it was just a lot. And I'm not gonna, like, again, I'm not gonna get into a lot of things in detail, but drug use played a big part in the release and things, and it was always kind of like an excuse as to why things were done. Even now, when conversations were asked about certain things, it was like, well, I made a lot of these decisions when I was, you know, not in the right mind, and you know, and it all goes back to being manipulated and a lot of dialogue that made decisions that shouldn't have been made. So during that time, you know, I wanted to leave. I mean, there was, even when the post release, like after a while, again, you guys, I just checked out, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, because, you know, when you keep hurting somebody over and over and over again, you know, they get tired. And that's basically where I was at, especially when I felt like I had so many sacrifices. Like, I did so many things that were completely out of my comfort zone, you know, and I was tired, and I just felt like I wasn't being appreciated. So at that point, I was ready to go. And it was like, I don't know if he felt that or he knew that, but it was like, you know, if I do time again, she's not gonna stay or whatever. I don't know what it was in his mind. I can't speak for him, but I just felt like it was just a lot going on at that point. Even all the things that he did to me, I still couldn't see myself just abandoning him, or, you know, doing him, or just kind of like leaving and to be like, hey, you got to figure it out. Going back, I wish I did. I really wish I did. I don't know why their relationship was a secret. I don't know why, if he was talking to her at the time of which he was incarcerated again. I don't know why I was the last person to know about it. I still to this day don't understand that whole situation. To me, by the way that he was moving, the way that everything fell together, to me it felt like you used me. You basically wanted me to continue providing this lifestyle, continue providing stability in your life while you do what you want to do. And to me, that is the most narcissistic like way of handling any type of situation. I still to this day don't understand it. I don't know why it was a secret, or why I was the last person to know about I would say last person to know about it. And the way that I was told about it was so I don't know, it was just like it's more embarrassing than anything else. But anyways, so that happened. Going back to where I was at originally. So I got the call, they told me about the situation. I never seen anything myself that she posted, but I mean, as a woman, you have intuition and you just know that something isn't right. I mean, I asked him about the situation, and he lied and said that he talked to her like when he first was incarcerated, but then he never talked to her. Like, they stopped talking, and it never went anywhere. And he said that he apologized because he was going through something in the beginning. He said that he didn't know that I was going to be there with him or do the time with him. So he kind of wanted to make sure he had somebody to fall back on if I did leave him. That was the story in the beginning. And again, I was just like, oh, okay, you know. But I knew in my heart that it was a lie. I knew in my heart that, you know, this is the same behavior. It just keeps going on and on. This is just another girl to me, you know? So I started preparing myself then. Because I knew, I checked out, you know? So I just had to prepare for what was going to happen, because it seemed like every time I got to this place where I was like, I'm done, I don't want to be with you anymore, or whatever the case may be, whether I said it or he said it, it was like we didn't separate. It was more like either he left, and then he would come back, or whatever the case may be. But it's just like, it's not even, and I want to clarify that it's not even because of me per se. I don't think that he was so in love with me he never wanted to leave me, or he always came back because of me. I believe in my heart that it was because of stability. It was because of what I bring to the table. And I'm not trying to brag on myself or or make it seem like I'm better than anybody else, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that I am, you know, holier than thou, or I'm just the best or whatever. But I come with a lot of benefits. I mean, when you're with somebody that's just a genuine person, you benefit automatically. You win automatically with that person, you know? And I felt like every little chance he got, he would try to leave, and then he would realize, like, nobody else is probably going to do the same things that she did. Nobody is going to be able to fill her shoes. And I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I'm just saying that's really what it was. And I feel like that's where all of it came down to, the fear, because it's like, if I leave, he's going to find some type of way to either come back and, you know, be mad, because you have to think of it this way. You give, right? And then you take everything away. That person's going to be kind of mad. They're going to be kind of frustrated, or, you know, it's going to be like a complete 360. They're going to have to wake up and see that you're not providing that same lifestyle that they had before. So with all that being said, it kind of played in my heart, because I had that fear. Like, if I take everything away or leave, you know, what is he gonna do? How is he gonna react? How is he gonna feel about that? Especially when I feel like you build your facade or your character, especially when there's social media and other things that play a part. You know, if you can't look a certain way anymore, you know, what are people gonna think? Or how is that gonna tie into you and how you're gonna be affected? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of lies, a lot of stories were made to where people around him may have thought that he was something that he wasn't, merely because of the images he portrayed. You know, social media has a sense of doing that, you know, and people play a big part in that. And I was just afraid. I was afraid of, like, what was going to backfire from everything falling apart and the truth coming out. And let me just tell you a little bit of how my life is. So, you know, this type of stuff doesn't happen to regular people. So I get hired to do an event, and, you know, pop-up event, had my whole table, you know, with my business and everything out there. And I wind up running into the girl that everybody is telling me he's talking to. Small world. Again, at that point, like I said before, I was already checked out. It wasn't no ill intent. I didn't go in there like, hey, I want to fight you, or anything like that, because I'm not that type of person, and I didn't care enough to even fight, not even argue so much, you know? I think a lot of my dialogue was kind of like, I mean, if that's something you want, I'm all for it. I just hope that you're protecting yourself in the situation. And I made sure to tell her that too. And I kind of was more saying, I don't understand the whole situation. I don't understand why I didn't know about it or whatever. Again, so it was kind of like one of those kind of closures that you didn't really think you needed. That's where it was at for me. But the reason why I mentioned that whole little thing is because a letter she gave me while we were at the event from him to her. In the letter, he's kind of explaining to her why he isn't in love with me, or why he cannot love me, or whatever the case. I don't remember the words of how he put it, but it was similar to that. And it was so crazy to me, because as I'm reading it, I didn't even read the whole letter. I just kind of read that little snippet of it, and it was just like, I just felt a feeling of disgust. Like, it made me so mad, because it's like, first of all, you're telling a person that does not know me at all. She doesn't know anything about me. But you're telling her why you don't want to be with me or why you don't love me, but yet you're not telling me. And I think that was where the frustration lied, on both sides, because I just felt like everybody was playing this game and I was tired of playing. Like, if you're with him, be with him and flaunt it. Be happy with who you're with. But why is it a secret? So I just didn't understand, and it was getting very frustrating. Because I think how it was coming off was that, like, oh, she's just mad because I'm talking to her man now. Or I honestly, I don't know what the perception of me was. I don't know how he painted me to be. I don't know. But it was just so frustrating because I feel like they don't understand the frustration from myself. Because it was like, if you're going to be with her, great, be with her. But let me go, or let me know so that I can move accordingly. Like, why are you just still holding me here? And I'm sitting here like the big dummy, paying for lawyers and taking, like, I'm like an assistant at this point, or a freaking, an assistant, taking care of all the business part of it while you're just, doing you, and I'm left in the dark and I don't know anything about it. But the biggest thing for me too, along with all that, was reading the letter of him saying starting a family, wanting to start a family with her. And then he mentioned a situation that happened this is way back before he even got incarcerated the first time. So this is before the 5 years. Because remember, I did say that our relationship was toxic and, abusive before he went to prison. So he told her about a situation that happened. And it baffled me because he basically pinpointed and said that was the reason why he could never love me, which happened in like 2014, mind you. And I'm going to touch on this situation a little bit because, not because I feel like I have to explain myself, but because I feel like a lot of men are very uneducated, especially on a woman's body, that they make certain comments that are very offensive and rude. And they just go with it. They just run with it. For one, having PCOS, it just means okay, so you have issues with infertility. Doesn't mean that you cannot conceive. It doesn't mean that you cannot have a baby. It's just harder for you to have a baby. And then if your partner has underlying issues such as drug use or whatever, stress, not sleeping in a good schedule, whatever, it makes it even harder for you to conceive. So that's just a little history. I mean, some people already know that. It's common sense. But so the situation that happened was I had $250 stolen from my account. There were certain people at my house at the time, and once I asked them about the situation, everybody kind of was like, if you have a bank account, you know that if somebody were to take a blank check that's linked to your bank and write themselves a check, it's going to come out of your bank account. Of course, you also know with a bank account that if you don't use checks, or you made a transaction that you never usually really do, it flags it, or it'll be like, hey, or something happened or whatever, And then if you call and say, hey, I didn't make this purchase, such and such money is out of my account, then they're going to investigate it, and then they're going to probably credit you your money back. So that's literally what happened. I think it wasn't that I didn't get my money back that made me mad. It was just the audacity that you would allow somebody in my home, or our home at the time, and let them steal from me. And then when I ask you about it, I'm the one that becomes the enemy, and then you treat me wrong. And it's crazy because I love how the only part of the story that he talks about is what I did and how I hurt him. And I'm not trying to discredit how he feels, because he may have felt really upset about the situation, and I am sorry that he felt that way. But I'm going to tell the full thing. He stole from me, or one of his friends stole from me, and nobody wanted to come and talk about what really happened. So instead of him dealing with the problem, he moved out. He tore up the apartment. There was damages. There was a whole bunch of things that I had to be left to pay, such as doors off the hinges, holes in the wall, things all of that nature, on top of me being physically abused on his way out. He left. Okay, so let's just get into that. He left. During that time, that probably, I would say, was probably the lowest part of my life. And women, I'm talking to you when I say this. It's hard to even say this on camera because I'd never ever want to get to this place again. But have you ever felt like you're disposable, like you're just not good enough? And again, I don't know if I got to this place only because of him and our relationship being so toxic and abusive. A lot of it was my life at the time, my personal life that I had going on with my own family. You know, the pressure of trying to figure everything out, because at that point, I think I was like 19 or 20 at that time, and I didn't have to live in that apartment. I didn't have to. I mean, I had my parents. I have my sister if I needed to. Like, I have supportive family to where if I could have stayed at home, type of thing. And I put the pressure on myself to get this apartment, find this apartment, get some money to figure this out and do all this stuff, because I was manipulated to feel as though, like, if I don't have a place, I don't have a comfortable place for myself, and I don't have this and I don't have that, and that's why I act like this because of this, you know. So I made it my business to get that apartment. I made it my business to figure it out. And if you guys are listening, you guys are probably hearing it's a cycle. It was a cycle. I had to figure it out. I had to keep figuring it out to a point where I just got tired of figuring it out. So by having that in your mind, like, okay, I got this apartment, not because I needed to, but because, you know, I was trying to help him. So I got this apartment, and then him treating me like that, you know, and doing this. And this is not the only situation that happened at this apartment. I want you guys to know that too. This is the only one that I'm talking about because it links to why he decided that he couldn't be with me. Okay, so being at the low place that I was, and I'm not gonna lie, I reached out when he left, and I kind of just wanted to know, like, you know, what was the reason, why did you leave? And, you know, I'm human, so I did reach out, and I did try to figure that out. And just the hatred, or the vibe and energy that he had was just kind of like, leave me alone, like, you know, like, just be on your own and do you, kind of thing. And I'm so mad at myself for even letting that get to me. I should have let him let me go, and I didn't. And I don't know why. I don't know why I felt like I needed to know. I don't know why I felt like I needed that closure, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. And I just got to a place where I was just like, I did all this stuff to get this apartment, and now I'm here by myself. I had to deal with them threatening to put me out because of the damage and everything else, which was already stressful, especially when you live in an apartment complex like that. So when there's loud noise or anything, arguing, things like that, police are always called. So with the police coming several times, you know, it was just a bad time altogether, I would say. I just felt like I was going through so much. I felt disposable. I felt like I wasn't worth anything, okay? I got to a point where I talked to somebody else, God forbid. So me and him obviously are not together no more. I talked to somebody else, whatever. It didn't even last long, to be honest, because I am the type of person, in order to be with somebody, especially intimately, I have to be emotionally attached, I guess is the word I'm looking for. If not, it's kind of like I'm not there. It's kind of like it's just happening and I'm just like, oh, and like, okay, bye. You know what I mean? If I'm not in a good space, it's just not, I cannot emotionally attach myself to anybody else. So with that being said, being in that new relationship, I didn't really give it a chance because I wasn't over the whole situation that I was going through. I was broken, I had a lot of stuff to go through. So me getting in another relationship was not my intention. It was kind of like, whatever, anything could have happened at that point, and it was kind of like I was checked out. So with that being said, so that happened, and then he wound up coming back in October, a week before he wound up going to jail for the 5 years, which the prison sentence or whatever. So during that time, of course, we talked. He apologized for the situation. And we kind of were like, okay, we're gonna try and move forward into another, thing. I had already moved out of that apartment, due to all the stress and everything that was happening at the time. So I moved out and I went back home. It was just a lot going on. But anyway, so he wound up getting incarcerated or going, whatever, on October 16th, okay? Of course, people that know the system, you have to, when you go to jail, you stay in jail until you're sentenced, and then you go to like a reception jail or a reception prison until you are wherever you're going to be. So I just remember visiting him in the jail, and he was like, someone told me that you slept with somebody, or you slept with somebody prior to being with me or us getting back together. And he was already in jail for a year before he asked me about it. I'm gonna be completely honest and transparent with this whole situation, because I'm gonna forgive myself for the situation, because I beat myself up about this, and I want you guys to really listen to what I'm saying. I lied about it. I said no when I knew exactly what he was talking about. I knew exactly who he was talking about, but I said no. And this is why. I said no because I felt like we were in such a better place. Even though he was in jail, I felt like it was the best part of our relationship. We talked everything out. Again, it was all a lie, the stuff that we talked about, because like I said before, it was a lot of, I made those decisions when I was high. I'm gonna be a better person. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of dialogue, of which I didn't want that to be a reason why we didn't keep going on this positive track. So when he asked me, I lied and I said no. It wasn't until he was at a reception jail. So mind you, obviously, if he's in a reception jail, this is a while after, that he asked me about it again. And everybody who knows, especially the way I operate, if someone asks you something, 9 times out of 10, they already know the answer. They're asking you to see if you're gonna lie, or they just don't believe the answer you gave them, so it's bothering them, so they're gonna keep asking you. So at that point, when he asked me, it was kind of like, you know what, I don't like lying, so I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth. So when he asked me about it, I told him the truth. And there were certain questions that he asked that he was feeling some type of way about, and I answered them all honestly after. But to be honest, after you lied the first time, why should I believe you? You feel what I'm saying? So I regret lying. Honestly, I should have just told the truth in the beginning, and I didn't. I felt like the only reason why the person made why the person even said anything about me, or it even came up or whatever, was because you know, men have pride and they feel a certain type of way. And if I'm doing this with you and you don't seem to enjoy it, or you're not saying anything, I'm gonna feel some type of way. Especially if the person is like, I don't want to be with you, you know, that's gonna bother you as well too, right? So that's what I feel like what happened. And again, like I told you guys, if I'm not emotionally attached to the person, it's more of kind of like I'm just there, and I was literally checked out at that time. So yeah, I felt like it was a lot of messy people playing or stirring the pot, and I don't know the story that he received or whatever, but that is kind of where his headspace was at. This is where I feel like it goes wrong. If you felt that that situation was too much for you and you could not figure, or you could not forgive me, you should have let me go. And by you not letting me go and you staying with me during your time being incarcerated, or me staying with you, and then asking to marry me in 2019, that lets me believe that I was being used that whole time. Because if you can tell somebody else that the reason why you would never be, that you fell out of love with me, or we're not in the same or a good space anymore, is because of that situation that happened in 2014, that lets me know that what would be the reason? Why would you stay with me if that's the case? You know what I mean? So that to me is all I needed to read in that letter. There was also another reason where he said that he feels that I lied, and that the second miscarriage that I had was I was pregnant by the other person. And I'm just gonna say again, I'm gonna go back to where I said men are not knowledgeable in a woman's body, because they just say kind of stuff when they just feel in their mind, or whatever, however they feel. The first trimester of a woman's pregnancy is the most important part. And if there's any stress, any heavy lifting, anything, it could cause a miscarriage, because that's like the most vital or critical part of a woman's pregnancy, is that first trimester. Again, this happened in 2014, so I don't know exact dates, but I do have everything. Like, I have paperwork and everything, or whatever, if I really needed to, but this is all on top of my head, so please bear with me. But the reason why it irritates me so much is because he wants to paint me out to be this bad person, and then whatever helps you sleep at night, okay? So if you want to hold on to this reason, and this helps you get through whatever the bad things you did to me, that's way more than this little incident, so be it. But I do want to clear my conscience and my space, because I was not pregnant by this other person, and I'm going to tell you why. The situation that happened with the apartment getting beat up and everything happened at the end of August. Okay, so end of August, around that area. But I know he wasn't in the apartment before his birthday. So, and that was the middle of September. So all that stuff happened in the mid-August, end of August, and he was already out by September. So then the situation with this new person happened by literally, I would say the end of September, mid-September, end of September. You know, I don't have specific dates. I have no reason to lie. This is all on top of my head. So when he came back for us to get back together was October 5th, 6th, around there. Okay, in the beginning of October. And then he wound up getting incarcerated that next following week on the 16th or whatever day it was. So so my car was totaled, and I'm not going to get into why he was incarcerated or what his charges was or any of that or anything, because I'm not. So when all that happened, my car was totaled. Okay, my car was totaled, and if you guys know, if your car is totaled, anything that's in the car you have to collect before at the tow place when the people that towed your car. So at the time, when I went to the tow place, this was already in December time, okay? Or I would say November, not too much December. It was like November. So I had a rental. I had to get a rental. I had to figure it out, mind you, because I still have jobs. I still have things I have to do, but now I have no car. So I had to get a rental and go to the place to collect everything in my car. When I got there, my car was literally smashed. I worked so hard to get that car. I just got it, and and I don't remember how long I've had it before it got totaled, but just know it was still so new that the plates still said Lodi Honda on it. Like it wasn't my actual plates, you know? So when I seen the car, of course I had a whole bunch of feeling of sadness. My car was totaled. That was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. The car was literally smashed into pieces. It was just terrible. I got the stuff out of the trunk, and I'm not gonna lie, the people at the tow yard are they're very mean. Like they deal with people all the time, towing people's cars and things, and they have to have tough skin. I mean, there's probably people that want to negotiate or don't want to give their car away or whatever. So they're very mean. Nobody helped me carry any of that stuff. And if you know me, you know I keep literally a lot of things in my car, especially that car, because I had just got it. So it was a lot of stuff in there in my trunk, and I had to carry that from that car to the rental car, which was outside of the gate because you can't go inside the gate. So it was a lot of heavy lifting. It was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of stuff going on that day. It wasn't until after I believe it had to be, I wish I had dates so I could kind of be more whatever, but I was having a lot of pain in my stomach after I got home or whatever, and I just remember my mom taking me to the hospital because of the pains that I was having. And around this time I also was having problems because I wasn't diagnosed with PCOS yet, so I didn't know why I was having stomach issues or stomach problems. So I was going back and forth to the hospital at that time. At that time, I just remember clumps of blood coming out, which is why I wanted to go to the hospital and figure out what was going on. I found out that I actually was miscarrying at that time, and the doctors, especially when you're not far along, it's kind of like you just have to let it pass. And I mean, it's a sad moment for you or a sad situation, but you let it pass, and then that's kind of it. The reason why I'm even talking about this is because if I was pregnant by the other person, I would have been further along to where I wouldn't have been able to just pass it. Not only that, I probably would have been showing because it was months prior. But again, we go back to men not knowing about a woman's body and making judgment over what they think. It just bothers me that I'm being painted as such a bad person when literally out of the whole 10 years, that is the only situation that he can bring up or say about me, is that I lied about being with somebody after we had a break because he abandoned me after stealing money from me. That's basically like the wrap up of that. I don't know. I just feel like I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve to see that. I didn't deserve to read a letter about you starting a family with somebody else, knowing that that's the only thing I wanted from you, was to be in a healthy and good relationship with somebody and start a family with them. I think the thing that hurt me too was, once he came home, I literally begged him to, stop doing drugs, stop, just be clean and start anew so that we could try. And he didn't want to do that. He couldn't do it. And yet you can paint a beautiful picture for somebody else, but yet in our relationship, you couldn't even try, and I'm human. I'm not going to sit here and say it didn't bother me, because it did. It did, because I question, like, why, what did I do? Or why couldn't you be right for me, but you could paint pictures for other people? And that's kind of the reason why I just stopped. I gave up. I didn't want to help him. I didn't want to, be that positive in his life anymore. I didn't even want to talk to him, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't want to be associated with him. I don't want to be associated with anyone, that deals with him, or, I kind of want to just start completely over and branch off and rebrand, because that was a bad part of my life, and I don't want to keep reliving that. I think now it's kind of like where it's been just a thought process of, what do I want to do? Or, what am I going to do? Because a lot of my decisions have been based off of what I can do and things that are working around him and like I said before, I was so engrossed in that I didn't do things that I really wanted to do. And it all goes back to, like, if you're on an airplane and the plane is going down, or you're losing oxygen, or whatever the case may be, they tell you that you're supposed to put your own mask on before you help anybody else, regardless of if it's your child or whoever it is. And the reason being is because if you're not okay, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. And I just remember not understanding that concept at all, because I'm like, if something's going on, my first initial response is to help whoever is by me, or like my family, or somebody that I'm really in love with, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna gravitate to helping them first, before myself. And the reason why I'm saying that is because that's exactly what I did in that whole relationship. I literally felt like I was drowning, but I was putting on his life vest so that he could stay afloat while I was literally drowning. And it just got to a point that I just couldn't hold my breath anymore. At that point, I knew that I had to stop. I had to let it go. I had to just forget about it. And that's exactly what I did. I stopped working that other job. At that point I had already paid the lawyer, but I just took that as an L and just, did what I had to do. But I knew from that point on that I was no longer going out of my way for anybody, unless I was good first. And that was a lot of the reason why I made certain changes that I had to change. Certain bills, I condensed them down. Certain things I got rid of, cut ties with certain things, because I was literally drowning. And as I'm sitting here, I am so proud of myself that I still maintained my own livelihood. Like, I still got my AA, my BA, and I'm working on my master's. I still was never late for any bills that I ever had. My credit is great. Like, I still maintained myself. I probably would have been a little bit further, of course. If you're not in a relationship, of course, you kind of gravitate and do better in your, whatever, because you're focusing literally on just you. But I still never gave up. And I'm only saying this to say that I'm so thankful for the people at my jobs. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for my family and my friends and people that were positive in my life at those times that I needed them, because they are the reason why I kept going. These were the reasons why I didn't give up. But there's some people that are out there that don't have that. They don't have that. They don't have that positivity in their life. They don't have that support in their life, and they give up. And they don't. You know what I mean? And it just makes me feel so, sad about people that go through these certain situations that nobody really wants to talk about. Like, there's women out there that are supporting men that are incarcerated. And I'm not saying that all men that are incarcerated do the same thing. But there are women that there are probably men that go through similar situations where they support somebody incarcerated, and they get out and they either don't want to be with them, or it comes to find out that they were just using them at that time, or whatever the case may be. That is something that, not only the embarrassment of, being supportive to this person and then them getting out and acting as if you didn't pull the weight that you pulled, that hurts. That's hurtful. That all ties into mental health and, accepting and, a whole bunch of just things that nobody wants to talk about. And that's something that I want to share some awareness to, that, like, I'm not the only girl out there that, was with somebody and dealt with the same things I probably dealt with. There's other people out there, and I know that I made a big impact on a lot of people. I had a lot of messages and people thanking me for just showing the things that I did while he was incarcerated, because there was women out there that were with somebody incarcerated, and it was good to see. So I'm gonna do that same thing on this side of it. Again, I did not make this video to hurt anybody or to expose anybody or anything. It was just merely to share my side of things so that I can move forward. I want to, again, move into a new direction with my channel and with just my life in general. There were certain things that I couldn't do because of backgrounds and other things that were done in this home. So I kind of, now I have that clarity and that freedom to do a lot of different things that I wasn't able to do before. I do want to show more of me and my mom on the channel. Health and wellness, working out, that has been my my priority a lot this last year. So I do want to definitely put that in in my channel. I do want to start foster care. I've always wanted to do it, and again, with certain things I wasn't able to do it, and now that I can, I really want to start that process. Just another site, I just want to be happy and experience things and do things. I feel like I was very stagnant for a little bit, and I just want to get out of that place and move on to a better place. I wish everybody the best that was involved in this situation. I have no real hate in my heart. I just want to be left alone. I want to, again, close that chapter and move on to a new chapter. And in order to do that, certain things need to be done, and they're not being done. So I'm hoping that changes soon. But as of right now, I am just focusing on my well-being and protecting my peace. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or concerns, you feel free to reach out to me. I'm always a listening ear. If you or someone you know is going through something similar, please get the help that you need, whether it's from someone you really trust or professional. I was going to add pictures and documentation and all this stuff to kind of, I don't know. I feel like sometimes you feel like you have to back yourself up or have receipts. So I was going to go about it that way, but I'm not. I'm just going to do more of just talking like this, and just go from there. This is kind of like, I kind of like this little view. I might do a lot of different talking videos kind of like this. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but it's very comfortable and calming. So yeah, that is pretty much that. If you could like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and to see what I'm gonna have in store for you guys for the next couple of weeks or so. I'm gonna be trying to put out a video, get more consistent with my channel, because this is something that I really wanted to do, but I was just so tired and so drained from everything that I just didn't really give it my all. So thank you so much for those who have been subscribed to me and have been commenting and saying things like, hey, when are you getting back on your YouTube channel? I really appreciate you guys. You guys don't even know how much you guys mean to me. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make it as peaceful as possible, and I will see you next time. Say bye, Mac. Say bye. Dile bye. Say bye.